Hello, your cloud guru friend. And in this section, we are going to continue on with Terraform Cloud. In the previous section, we used Packer to create our AMI image. Now, there's more than one way of doing what we just did in the previous lesson, but for right now, we'll just keep the AMI generation in Packer. Now, the next step is we want to use Terraform to actually do everything in the stack, and I always go right to Terraform Cloud because it's so easy to use. And I just want to start from the top here. So let's go to, you're going to have to go in here and actually create your own account. Down here, it's free. They didn't even ask you for a credit card. So go ahead and create your own account and come back and we'll work through it. Set your free account up. Now I'm going to log in. I'll just like I've never done this before. This is really a great way of doing Terraform. No, I don't want to. Okay, the first thing you're going to do, the first time you log in, they might ask you for the organization. But you want to go to settings here on the left and hit general. And you should be able to set your, update your organization name. You'll need this later on for when you're setting up the config file on our workstation. Now once you get this, you can update your organization. Now the next thing we need to do is create a workspace. So let's go to new workspace here. And this is going to be CLI driven workflow, which is, we'll be doing it from the command line. So this is what we're going to want. And then we'll name this, what am I going to call this? Create RDS lab. And this creates our EC2 instance with our web files. So that's not PHP web files. Okay. So let's just go ahead and create the workspace here. What I'm going to do here that I'm going to actually go and create a working directory on my local computer for this new workspace. And I happen to have it open here. I have mine in projects. So you can create this a million different ways, but you want to go in here and make directory. And I got into it and I just touched a main.tf file, which we're going to use for our Terraform file to run all this stuff. We go to Video Studio, which I've got open in the back of me here. Bring it on up. And let's go, I've already opened it up, but you can just go ahead, File, Open Recent. You can see I've got it here, Project RDS. And let's open up our main file here. And we'll be ready to do some copying and pasting. Screen here, bring this up. All right, so we're gonna have to copy this right here. This is the example code. This is really very useful. They tell you exactly everything you want to do. So hit the Terraform code here. We'll hit this here. Copy this. We'll go back to our workspace behind me. Let's copy it in here. And we'll save it. File, save all. Put up a terminal window here. Up on top if I've already done it. Now we're going to have to go and do, if you remember these instructions here, it says Terraform login. This is what we need to do here. So let me copy this here. This is just to tell you all about the credential stuff if you want to learn about this. But basically we really need to hit the Terraform login. I'm going to do this. I'll do it again. And this will basically authenticate our session. So let's go back down. I'll hit this here. It's thinking, it's going to ask you to do yes. I'm going to lift this up so you can see it. Yes. Okay, now what's going to come up is you're actually going to get this window here and it's going to give you a token. So create the token. Copy this here. Now you're done. So we're done. And then you've got to come back up here and you have to put this in. A little bit slow here, please forgive me. Paste this in. Hit return, and you're looking good. So we're ready to go on this front. Knit this, let me bring this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit. Okay, so for the first time, they give you a little example. You can run these scripts here, those three, if you want to see it, but I've done it before, so I'm just going to head and Terraform and knit this. We should be good to go. Okay, It's looking good. So we're initialized and we should be ready to start using Terraform Cloud. This information a little bit, I'm going to go back to Terraform documentation page, and if you click on the credentials block, it really does give you a lot of information as you can read through. Credentials is down here, you can go through it. And this is a great reference source if you want to really learn the ins and outs of this. But based on all this information, I am going to update my top form here. Let's go back here, and I'm going to do this. This is just basically a standard startup for whenever you're going to be doing this. The top will work, but I'm going to enhance this a little bit here. Okay, so the only differences you'll have to do on yours is just basically your organization name and your workspaces and your region. So that's really the only thing you need to change. This is kind of a generic block of code we can use to start going. Information that we will have to go and get from the AWS console. We need to get the AWS VPC. Well, I'm just going to use a default for this. As you get more sophisticated, you can go ahead and change this ID, but for this basic demo, we're just going to go with the default. So let's go back to our console. I bring this up for you. Into my account, my AWS account, hopefully you have your screen still open, and I need to go to VPC. Should make you guys wait for this, but okay. I got 4. Now, this is my default. I know that, and if you don't know that, it does actually say default right there. If you look down here, it says default. So let me go grab this one. Obviously, you don't have to use the default, but for this demo, it just makes life a little bit easier. So I'm going to copy this, and I just have to put this back into our form, and I think that's all I'll need from my AWS account. The rest we're just going to create ourselves on this end. It's up here. Page 2 in. Okay, now let's add some more sections to our code here. Add security group next. What I did here is I actually I'm going to use this example here. And when we did this manually, we had to actually work with the security groups. Now we're going to automate the whole process. So if you go to this web page, you can see on top here, providers, HashiCorp, AWS latest docs, resources. It's going to give you a whole bunch of stuff that you can look at. I'll also put this on my Git repository, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and we'll bring it over for an example, and then we'll modify for what we want. So let's grab this and we'll bring it back over. Paste this in, and we'll have to modify this a little bit here. Come back up. We can call this, what do you want to call this? Got a name, this would be the name. We'll call this SG underscore, I'll do lab dot, I don't know, RDS, that'll work. And the name is going to be, it would be the same then, SG underscore lab underscore RDS. Come down here. All right, this here is a little bit tricky. This is going to be from up, so you guys can see this a little bit better. It's going to be a data, and then it's going to have to be whatever this is, AWS underscore VPC. And then the next thing would be just .main, I believe. And then it will be your ID. That's right, .id. Okay, that'll work. So that just matches here. It just goes down this thing. It's data, the AWS VCP, which is the data, and then main is the name of it, and then the ID. Boy, we really want to add, we have to add a rule here for copy. Bring that here. We have to make a rule for HPS, so let me just copy and paste this one in. All right, so we don't need 2 of these. All right, let's just make this be This is wide open for right now. We probably should, at least this can be wide open. It's going to be port 80, port 80. And SSH, make sure I have any typos in here. All right, this is egress, is just open. This is, okay, I got the left. All right, this looks pretty good. Now, if we really want to be strict about this, we can actually go get our local IP address on our machine and actually put it right into here. But I'll skip that step for now. We can probably do that a little bit later. And do the next section a little bit different. I'm going to actually use a module, which is predefined. If you go up here to the Terraform IO, up here at the registry, you see modules, Terraform, you can just read this off. And this gives you lots of examples here. So we can go down here and I'll just use the first one, the single one. I've also have this on my Git repository, some of these important ones. So grab this, we'll bring it over, close this out, paste in here. I did cheat a little bit because I don't want you guys to watch me type all the time. So I put a few things in here. I'll run through this here. This is just standard Terraform modules. This is the version. Single instance. Now see this AMI image here? This is the one that we actually created in the previous lessons. This is the one that we created with Packer. Now we're going to make this dynamically. Obviously we need to make this dynamically change to get the latest version. We'll do that when we upgrade it on the next one. T2 micro, that's what we're going to call it. We need to get a key pair. We can do that in a second. Monitoring is true. All right, this is all standard stuff here. Now we need to do the key pair, so let me go do that next. Okay, so let's do the last little section here. I'm going to put this key in here. And this is really dependent on your local system. So let me just do this, home.ssh, get dot in there. Okay, I'm not going to generate a new one here, but if you use SSH keygen here, you can use this to generate your new pair. And you want to take this value here from your pub and actually put it in here, which would be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the character is going to be. And then that should set this up on this end. So I won't do any more on this, but you should be able to do it this way. And this is just up here. As always, the resource name is AWS KeyPay, then the deployer, then the key name. It's always in this order, so boom, boom, boom. You always got the dot in between to know how it's going. So that should be everything to set this up. And like I said, on AMI, we'll have to make that dynamically changing. We'll do that in the future. So let's go ahead and test this thing out. Oh, there's one more thing we need to do on the other side. We have to bring over our keys to the to Terraform Cloud. So let's do that next. Then we can try to run it. Go back to your Terraform Cloud account. Let me go to workspaces here. And we need to go to RDS Lab. Whoops, I'm sorry, I clicked off of it here for a second. Bear with me. Now, we're going to have to add 2 variables to this. And the 2 variables are going to be our AWS secret access key, and the other one is AWS access key ID. This is the stuff that we created in Lab 1 and 2, if you forget how to do it, but you should have them stored off somewhere. And this will allow for Terraform Cloud to actually connect to our AWS account. So let's add the first variable here. And I'm not going to put mine in. I'm just going to show how to do it here. Let's make sure I don't spell it wrong here. Secrets. Should be 2 C's, and underscore key. Put it in here, and it's going to be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 blah. Hit sensitive on this one, and then you're going to save that variable. And then we'll do another one here. We'll do, after you save that one, you're going to do AWS underscore access. It's going to be key underscore ID. And then obviously you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mark it as sensitive, save this variable, and then we should be able to try to run the script. But I did run this, and there's a couple errors that I fixed. The ingress was looking for these 3 variables I'm sorry, these three here, prefixless ID, security groups, and self equals false. So I just had to add some blank numbers so it stopped complaining about it. And besides that, it ran okay. And there's another thing you might want to up here for your AWS key pair. We talked about this. You need to go to your home directory.ssh, your home user directory, and copy that public key in here using the key gen stuff. If you probably already have it in there, but if not, you have to generate it and you put it in there and save it. So those are the two things you're going to have to do. And this should be able to run. Let's plan this here, and it's going to take a few minutes to run this, but I'll set this and I'll kill it. Then when it's done, we'll actually apply it. So let it run here. There she goes. Truth, everybody. I'm going to try to actually apply it. I did change a few things again. I want to change this name to single instance is pretty generic. So let's give this RDS Lab, I guess we'll call it RDS Lab. What about Terraform? Okay, so that'll be the name. That should show up. Let me try to save this. Save all. And one thing I did do for this one, let me go up here. I gave myself a security name group. Come down here for a second. It's Jenkins external. See, this is a key name. I actually have one in there in my system, but you wouldn't have to change this because you can just use if you copy and paste in your public key, that'll work. So that being said, let's go ahead and run this. Okay. Now, I have to give it a yes here eventually, and then we can go watch. It's going to take a few minutes to run. No errors so far. Okay. I'll pause it here and come back in a few minutes. I came back up here. Let me go ahead and then just put the key value of yes in. Now it should actually start to run. A little bit slow. Now what we can do here, now that we hit the run, we can go actually see what's going on in the background here. So right now I've only got 3 running here, and there should be 4 when we're done. So let's go back to my, all right, it's applying here. So I see we've got some action going on with the, refresh this here. It's applying, so it is running. So I see we get some actions on the Terraform Cloud, create RDS slab. It's thinking. Let's just go back to here. Oh yeah, it's doing some things here. It's building the instance here. So let's go see if we can actually see the instance getting created. Let's go here, refresh this. It doesn't take that long once it gets going. So let me refresh you here. And yes, we do. I do see RDS Lab. It is running. So we have successfully implemented our AMI into a EC2 instance. So let's pause this and I'll go see if the web page we can actually look at it. Just passed all the health checks. So I can see here we have our public IP addresses down here. And if I copy this and come up to here, which I did before, and voila, we have our web page that we've created. Now let's just go make sure that we can actually attach something to this here. Cleveland. Today is the 30th. It's 14. It's sunny and it's even getting warmer. I think it was 50 degrees there today. So the wind speed was only 4 miles an hour. So we'll go ahead and send this and we'll go see how it works. It looks like that observation got into the system and our website got created successfully. So now more importantly here, we have a mechanism. Now we can modify our web page and we have a system of implementing those changes and we can automate this whole process. But you can see how this is all going to work. We can even, eventually we're going to add a lot more things to this. This really gives us a foundation in Terraform on how to build infrastructure, and it shows you how to start. We started from 0, and now we actually have something built. So I hope you have a good day, and we have more videos coming. Have a nice 4th of July. Have a nice New Year.